Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. I'm going to be making fish and chips, like proper chip shop chippy chips, like that. Beautiful. Okay, today I'm going to be making fish and chips, more quarantining, more self-isolation, and I just thought, yeah, let's do that. And there's a lot of places are closed down at the moment, so I'm going to try to recreate, as close as I can, an authentic fish and chips. I'm even going to use this stuff, beef dripping, for the chips, well, for the deep frying aspect. Never done that before, so that could either go really well or really badly. Potatoes. I'm not going to be doing any triple cooked ones. They are going to be twice cooked. They're going to be going slowly in the beef dripping, taken out so they're cooked but without colour, and then finished off in hot fat. These are Maris Pipers. If you're watching in the States, you want to use a russet, I believe. I'm not sure whether Yukon Gold is good for this. I think anything that is floury, anything that's good for roasting or frying will be suitable. And again, it's what you can get. The batter, no tempura rubbish. This is going to be lager, a beer. I'm showing you this side because it's not English, it's Czech. Oh well, we're out. The secret's out now. Beer, and I'm using self-raising flour. That's it. No other ingredients. So this is really stripped down. Let's hope it works out really well. I hope you really like this. And anyway, see how it turns out. All right, let's peel these potatoes. Speed that up. When you peel them, you've got to put them in cold water. Leave them soaking in there. They'll discolour otherwise. I'm sure you know that. Now I'm going to cut them up. You'll notice a slight difference in size here if you're watching from across the pond. Our chips, what you would call French fries, are really quite chunky compared to the sort of what we would call French fries is something that you might get in at McDonald's, which I quite like actually. Horrible hamburgers, but nice fries. So that's the difference, and I'll show you there. That is how we cut our chips. Obviously you call chips what we call crisps. So anyway, separated by a common language, right? So you can see how the water has changed, all the starch is coming out. So I've replaced the water, and if that water gets cloudy again, replace it again. You can leave them sitting in there for a couple of hours, it won't hurt them at all. Now the fish, this fish was from my freezer, so it was bought fresh, but it's been in the freezer, and you can see that it's not the quality it would have been when it was fresh. Bit of haddock, it's nice flavour and everything, but it just isn't at its best. So if you are able to get better quality fish, I'm sure you can do that. And I'm just showing you how I skin the fish. Now normally I would say if you don't want to do this, get your fishmonger to do it, but that might be tricky at the moment depending on what's open on planet Earth. But this is the technique. If you want to have a go, angle your knife ever so slightly downwards, drag it along, pull the, once you've got a purchase with your fingers on the other side, pull it along. You can see I left a little bit there, whoopsie. So just run your knife under there, angle it up towards the skin, and there you go, that's it, that's done. Now these are a bit big to go in the pan that I'm using for the deep frying, so I'm just sort of cutting them into suitable sizes. Now to firm them up slightly and to remove some of the water, up to maybe an hour or so before, half an hour, give them a light salting. That will draw out some moisture, firm them up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit that on a plate on some kitchen paper. I'm going to pat them dry with some paper on top as well, and they're going in the fridge. So the batter, that was just a little bit of extra baking powder going into the self-raising flour. That's going in the fridge. I want everything for the batter to be really cold. Okay, so cooling that down. And the bowl I'm going to mix it in also went in the fridge. That is the beef dripping, getting that melted. That's my old trusty sugar thermometer. My normal probe has just given up the ghost. It's so inaccurate now, so it's got to be thrown away. Getting ready here, so drying off the potatoes thoroughly because I don't want water going in the hot fat. I don't like it. So the peas, drain them, bit of butter in there and give them a crush up basically. You can put a lid on those, do them in advance and just reheat them as you want, and if you want them a bit looser just add a splash of water, no problem. That is pretty much the optimum temperature, between 130 and 140 centigrade, which will be 266 to 284 Fahrenheit.
That is, we're going to cook them through until they are completely cooked. You know, you'll be able to put a knife through them, but without colouring too much. I think some of them picked up a tiny bit of colour, but there we go. That was the intention there. So they're cooked. They're ready to now be flash fried when the oil gets turned up, when the fat gets turned up. So the batter. So that bowl, there you go. That's why I put my hand in it, just making sure it's cold. The flour is cold. The self-raising flour is basically plain flour with baking powder. So that extra bit of baking powder was just extra sort of lift, hopefully. Measuring by eye with this beer. I don't want to put too much in for a couple of reasons. I don't want the batter to be too wet, but also I'm thinking I want to put a little bit of that beer in me. But it's a bit thick at the moment. It's a funny thing about fish and chip batter. It's definitely different from a tempura, which is very thin. But if you go too thick, you'll end up with a very thick crust of batter on the fish, which probably won't be cooked all the way through. So you have soggy batter. Pretty horrible. There you go. What would you say? Double cream? Like what you call heavy cream over in the States? That sort of texture. That's just about right to sort of cling to the fish, but not be too thick. So before frying the fish, I want to dust it in flour. So dredge it in flour, but then pat off as much of the excess as you can without breaking up the fish. And this fish is soft and delicate. You can see I'm having to treat it very carefully so it doesn't break. But we do want that coating to be on it because that's going to protect it from the frying. So dunk it in the batter and then get on over to the fat. So I did a quick search earlier, and it seems that it was the Victorian period where fish and chips became very, very popular in England. A lot of Jewish immigrants brought it with them as well, the sort of style of deep frying fish, and I think we made it very British by adding the chips to it. There we go. Now when you put it in, hold it, don't drop it, because it will sink to the bottom of the pan and it will stick there and you're going to have to scrape it off. It's going to be ruined. So once you think it's floating, then obviously don't dip your fingers in, it will hurt. Yeah, and also, so it being a very English thing, it's coming up to St George's Day, April 23rd, everybody. Don't make your note in your diary. We all celebrate St Patrick's Day, but, you know, we can celebrate being English. It's still okay. It's okay to be English, folks. You haven't got to be ashamed just yet. Right, so that's had about between 5 and 10 minutes. You don't need to probe it. When that batter is nice and crisp like that, the fish is going to be steamed inside. If you had a massive piece of fish, obviously that could make a difference, but that bit of fish was not that large, so that's definitely there. I say that oil, 180 degrees centigrade now, that's about 356 Fahrenheit. That is a really good temperature for the flash frying. You can go a bit higher, a little bit lower, but you want to be around there to really get that seal. Everything that comes out of the fryer will get a little bit of salt on it, and just listen. Chef John, you'll be proud of my fork not lying there. Chips nice and brown, golden brown, however you want them. Gorgeous. And the reason I've done it in beef fat is because I wanted them to taste that way rather than the pre-blanching in water, which is very fashionable nowadays. So this is a slightly fashionable way of presenting, I suppose. You could always just chuck it on a plate or in some newspaper. But there we go. I've set my fish on top there, put the mushy peas in a dish to make it look nice. I've got some tartar sauce there and a wedge of lemon, and look at it. Beautiful. Anyway, over to me.
Fish and chips done. If you want proper English or British fish and chips, I'm afraid you have to do this. No matter how weird it might seem to you, vinegar is a big part of it. A bit of extra salt on there. Okay. It looks great, doesn't it? It's been about 5 to 10 minutes of me faffing around trying to get some nice photographs, but it's still nice and hot, and it's still hopefully you can hear that. So how are the chips? I mean, they are great. So that's the difference between I think an old-fashioned chip shop fish and chips is the beef dripping. Tartar sauce is a bit fancy, but I like it. The mushy peas, these are not by any way classic mushy peas, they're just like crushed up frozen peas. but they work very nicely with it. And actually this fish is a lot nicer than I thought it was going to be. It wasn't, this was a bit of frozen old fish, you know, it's not the best quality, freshest. It tastes great. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to finish this off now, but thank you very much for watching Shoofly, this episode of Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. Let me know how you get on if you have a go. Anyway, see you in the next one, coming soon hopefully. Bye!